Overwatch organizations are truly beyond saving. From making a player swim across the Pacific Ocean for a roster spot, to actually transforming into a pyramid scheme, to employing the most powerful racist and the most beautiful femboy at the same time, Overwatch teams are ruined by the unique individuals they have the misfortune of employing. Seeing as I just got back from China, I thought I would do a special Chinese edition of my favorite series on this channel. So the first team of today's video is a team so bad, they invented a new term just to describe it. The Chengdu Hunters were not like the other girls, even once in their entire run in the Overwatch League. At their inception, they brought on the leftovers of the Chinese Overwatch scene, after the Hangzhou Spark signed basically all of the best Chinese players, and Leave was too young to play at the time. No one had any expectations for this team, as 3 of the 9 players, Bacon Jack, Yang Xiaolong, and Leave, had not played Overwatch in 2 years. They also had Gary, whose player headshot looked like this for some reason. I have to wonder if he chose that name because he thought it was tough in English. Unfortunately for the Hunters, for the first 3 stages, the main tank player who they intended to play was stuck in China due to visa issues. He was a great Reinhardt player and would have been great in the GOATS meta that took over the league this season. This left poor Jiqiren to swim across the Pacific Ocean for 5 months to try and play for the team. In the first and one of the only matches he ever played in, he displayed his legendary floaties that carried him across the sea. This left them with their backup main tank, the greatest ball 1 trick to ever do it, Eamon. I have genuinely no idea why this team signed a ball 1 trick. I mean, he didn't even play Winston or anything. He literally only spun the wrecking wheel. They had a rough start, losing pretty handily, but immediately after this team leaned into playing only ball, they started actually winning some close games. This was until one of the final games of the stage, when the underdog Hunters took on a team that looked completely unbeatable at that time. They were the best team in GOATS and had the perfect roster for the composition. The Vancouver Titans would take on the Chengdu Hunters. This video by Sideshow really cemented this match as the greatest in Overwatch League history. I know it's longer than Titanic, but it might be more entertaining. The Titans won map 1 handily, of course, but the yet undefeated team would drop the next 2, getting held on Temple of Anubis against a Junkrat, Orisa, Widow comp. By the time the 4th map hit, everyone thought the Titans would bring it back, but the Hunters kept up the pressure, and the cracks were starting to show in the Titans' armor.
I always thought the most untiltable team was Vancouver, because Runaway, they've been through so much. Two Apex defeats in grand finals.
Runaway are the classic choke team,
yeah.
Dude,
but I feel like they would have had experience with not tilting, but if you lose against fucking Orisa, ahhhh, whatever that was on Hollywood, dude, their mentals are on a different plane.
You think they're meant to?
Eamon even switched to Ryan and bodied who was then the best Reinhardt player in the league, Bumper.
Bumper's just running for their backline to force out support.
Bumper's shadow gets blocked, and Eamon gives him.
These guys are fucking shot!
How does he do it? How does he do it?
Eamon is giving them the dick.
Okay, cut the player cam. Cut the player cam. I want to see Eamon chugging a pro right now. Down the
who is this? Wait, this guy's better than me, actually. I'm not even kidding.
The 6'6" mountain of a man was carrying so hard, he was making the best players in the league look stupid, flexing his huge mind and even bigger. Bumper was looking like the worst player in the lobby when faced with the Yada Chad Eamon's raw aura.
Wait, it's a good combo.
No,
just dead.
Amen, so take it, boy.
No. Bumper just turbo fed.
Bumper,
just turbo.
you crazy fucking idiot.
Bumper actually just engaged the feed drive to warp speed and for no reason.
Holy shit!
He just engaged the feed drive to warp speed.
Eventually, the magic would end, and the mental boom set in for the match, as both the Titans and the Hunters remembered who they were, with the Titans winning the match 3-2. I think one day I'll make a long video about this match, and that video because they are like the foundational text for the Overwatch scene. This match was so legendary that my 13-year-old self begged my mom to buy me an Eamon jersey. Mythical pull. After that astronomically high peak, the Hunters came back down to earth and continued the season in mediocrity. They still had a lot of close matches as the season continued, even staying with the same style, leading to the creation of the Chengdu zone, where teams played way worse against the Hunters for some reason. Probably because they thought they were playing against Jesus Herbert Christ himself on Wrecking Ball. The Hunters were so weird that in one win against the Washington Justice, they used 27 out of the 30 heroes that were in the game at that time, including playing Elsa, the Diva player, on Torbjorn. The following season they made some more roster moves, mostly focused on signing a tank who didn't just play one hero. They brought on Gaga, who was by some miracle unable to play for the beginning of the season, allowing Eamon to keep spinning. This guy was just unkillable. I think he worked in the Chinese consulate and just denied all the other tank players visas. The worst part is Gaga's best hero was also Ball, and seeing as Eamon was better than him at Ball, and there was a Ball meta, they basically brought Bro on for nothing in his first season. Eventually he would take the starting role, and as much as it pains me to say it, he was in fact better than Eamon. The most important move they made, by far, was making Leave turn 18 years old. I probably don't have to tell you how good Leave is, but he is without a doubt in the top 10 players to ever touch the game. He plays every hero, was the best tracer in the world for at least a season, and took a break from Overwatch just to go pro in PUBG Mobile, which somehow no one knows about. But he almost led the team several times due to disagreements with one of the Hunters' foundational members. eviltoaster/Xerneas/Mew was the main support player for the Hunters and helped them look at least relatively competent at sometimes. The team staff didn't see it that way, and viewed Yveltal, Monk, and Late Young as the bottom 3 players, who could receive criticism and abuse, while Gaga, Leave, and Jinmu were the top 3, and mostly untouchable. After their violent loss to this play by Shu,
Oh, he's going to be next on the list. There you go, taken out straight away. It's going to be desperation now for the Gladiators.
Turning it with his ant matrix.
With the ant matrix on the back. Jinmu's been taken out. I don't believe that. You have got to be kidding me. Shu comes out with the clutch ultimate.
the players felt pretty disheartened, most of which was Leave, who saw it as his burden to carry the team and took the fact that they didn't win to heart. He stopped trying as hard in scrims and stopped communicating as much. He also apparently refused to play with Jinmu, leading to him getting benched and eventually cut from the team, though Leave refutes that. The barrage of criticism and the idea that their best player had given up on them led Yveltal to quiet quit on the team, reading manga and playing Genshin Impact instead of scrimming and working on his game, though I'll cover that in a lot more detail later in this video. Yveltal always felt like Leave was overrated, and Leave felt like issues were being exacerbated by management and coaching staff, which they probably were. The two now play together for Weibo Gaming and are probably on better terms, but the beef is one of the reasons why Yveltal ended up signing with the Charge instead of the Spark after leaving the Hunters. That offseason, Yang Xiaolong also left the team to become a coach. He was most known for his drama with the streamer Aspen, where he claimed that Eamon referred to her as his second wife, and Eamon refuted the claims, saying that Yang Xiaolong had brain problems. Aspen didn't even know who Yang Xiaolong was, and thought he was Sabiolbi. For that small ingress, he was fined a month's salary and suspended from the team. 2019 Overwatch was a different time. The Hunters organization would go on to have a good amount of success, before, in 2023, the org posted some cryptic things after Overwatch was banned in mainland China, and soon after, players began posting about the Hunters as if they were already gone. Soon after that, the team skins were removed from the Overwatch League store, and eventually the Overwatch League itself will confirm that the Chengdu Hunters had left the Overwatch League and released all players. The reason for this is still mostly just speculated about, but the Hunters' parent companies, Huya and Royal Never Give Up, were facing some financial difficulties, and getting rid of the cash incinerator Overwatch roster was probably an easy choice to make. Rest in peace the Hunters, the skins were so tough, and if this jacket weren't made for manlets, I would already own it. The Hunters were one of the strangest teams to ever grace Overwatch, and were carried by a few different brave men who changed the face of Overwatch forever. The next team genuinely sold out to a pyramid scheme, and had some of the strangest rosters in Overwatch history. In their first season, the Charge employed 12 different players from 5 different countries, including Nero, whose real last name is Zwarg. This led to a lot of visa problems, as the league wanted players to actually live in the city they played in, and as homestands were introduced, so many of the non-Chinese players were basically part-timers, with how many times they had to leave and re-enter the country. Nero at one point even found himself unable to play because he entered the country on a tourist visa. Besides that, their tenure in the league started off strong, and they even made it to the playoffs that season. They also engaged in one of the 5 trades in Overwatch history, when they traded Kib, who was basically a Brig one trick, for Fraggy, who was basically
Ryan one trick.
They also had one of my favorite players of all time, Rise, who was a support player who never played a second on support, and in fact exclusively played Soldier 76. Anyway, the real juice starts after that initial success, when the Charge signed the most infamous leaker in Overwatch history. Neptuno is a man who played for 2 different Overwatch League teams, yet was somehow released 4 separate times. When he joined, he officially turned this team into the Unction, as he joined his fellow veteran Bishu. Despite being a good enough player, Neptuno is not known for his gameplay, as in the off-season before he joined the Charge, he was on a stream with Sideshow and Custa, where Sideshow accidentally started the stream early and caught this moment on camera.
Canadian.
They did by Canadian players.
You know, I asked Toronto if they would try me out.
Yeah.
But they're afraid of I'm toxic or something. So
Really?
they're so afraid, so they'll know.
Wow.
Whoa, what is
Oh.
going on?
Please don't tell me you're streaming. Oh,
Oh,
you God!
This video has a bunch of leaks that were pretty relevant back then, like Valiant going full budget mode, and a few players' contract information, like Gamsu making $240k a year. All of it turned out to be true, and everyone made sure to check their streams before Neptuno went on for the rest of history. Later in 2020, the Charge signed a deal in partnership with Herbalife Nutrition, a known pyramid scheme. In 2016, the FTC filed a lawsuit against them, alleging that they deceived customers into believing they could earn a real living peddling Herbalife's nutritional products. In reality, it was a multi-level marketing scheme that hooked people in with the idea that they could make a lot of money, but in reality, only the people at the top made anything. Later that year, they were ordered to pay $200 million in refunds back to customers, as the product they were multi-level marketing itself was even a scam. Its products have also been associated with severe hepatotoxicity, or liver damage, in healthy people. I guess not being able to process food because your liver doesn't work does help with weight loss, so I guess their product did work after all. If you want to receive $200 million from Herbalife, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more tantalizing Overwatch videos. And if you want to support me extra, click the join button, where you can support me in making more videos. Shout out to the beautiful members, Left Y and Hoodbanging65. If you want to hear your name in my videos, click that button. Do it right now. Anyways, the 2020 season was extremely successful for the Charge, as they were able to threaten their players with liver damage if they underperformed. Their team was incredibly stacked, with Shu, Happy, and Eileen, and even one of the league's foremost supervillains, Crystal. They finished 5th, but ended up just missing out on the playoffs because of the weird format caused by COVID. The following season, they brought in Miraculous Youngsters K. Lee, who I think forgot to remove the MY from his name after Miraculous Youngsters disbanded 4 years before this. They also brought on Develop, who is yet another insane hitscan player. Supposedly while roommates with Kaylee and Molly, Develop would be laying down during scrims and refusing to play. But since the management was so convinced that Develop was the best DPS player, he would still be selected to scrim over Choice A1. Develop also ducked scrims on multiple occasions to go to the club, and even at one point, to go get a happy ending massage. When I got a massage in China, they literally used a medieval torture device on my back, so at least Develop got something out of it. During a different event when Choice A1 and Develop were playing together in a scrim, Develop fell asleep in the middle of a match, and when Choi asked him what he was doing, Develop responded by insulting Choi's dead mother. This was all revealed on stream by Molly, so Develop later responded to his claims. The first translation I read skipped over this detail, but apparently Molly said that Develop had tried to fight him, but I don't think that ever materialized. Basically, Develop justified his actions by saying he said what he said because everyone else on the team was worse than him at the game, so nice. After a few successful seasons, heavy roster churn came about as more players retired and the 2022 roster had very few returning players. Farway 1987, who basically launched my YouTube career, thanks big bro, was especially disheartened by this churn following the 2022 season, when most of the roster was dropped. The clip is now lost, but he says he even considered quitting. While he stayed on the team, his teammate was not so lucky. Piggy was one of the mercenaries brought on for the season after its impressive run, being one of the only good Houston Outlaws signings in history. After the 2022 season, he was dropped from the team, being notified the day of. Interestingly enough, in his post-dropping statement, he kind of revealed that the league was going to close down, but I think a lot of people already felt that way by this point. They also had brought on eviltoaster in 2022, who by that point was calling himself Xerneas, and oh my god, this guy is one of the worst degenerate whales I have ever seen. I guess on one stream, he got really bored and leaked everything from his entire playing career, including the fact that of the $273,000 he earned in his Overwatch career, he spent $54,000 on Genshin Impact. This crippled him so much financially that despite being at least 90th percentile in earners in China, he currently stays on a friend's couch. He also claims that after an argument with Late Young over being a substitute player for the Chengdu Hunters, the Hunters threatened to fine him if he didn't apologize, so he gave the fakest apology in the world to Late Young, and they haven't spoken since. In terms of getting back on his feet and supporting his Genshin Impact edition, he says that he will start an OnlyFans account after he, quote, gets abs, so I wish him the best of luck in that endeavor. In 2023, the Charge signed a lot of players who got released from the Hunters, including Gaga, who immediately after joining the Charge, leaked that MCD was targeting Chinese players even still, and calling them racist slurs in games. Thank you Gaga for supporting my career this way. Ultimately, the Charge disintegrated as the league shut down, seeing so many legends pass through their door. They're still around in League of Legends as Ultra Prime Gaming, who apparently aren't very good, but hey, I'm rooting for them. The last team of today's video is the ultimate example of the power of friendship in Overwatch history, and by process of elimination, that means they are the Hangzhou Spark. They also just so happen to employ two of the greatest villains in Overwatch history, MCD and Crystal. Crystal was a man so in love with his girlfriend that he refused to fulfill team obligations, and the team ultimately filed a lawsuit against him for $2 million, but you can check out this video for more info about that. MCD is the most racist man of all time, of course, and is the most hated man on all of Chinese social media. Anyways, the Spark started on a rough note, getting the copyright for their team leaked. They were originally going to be called the Hangzhou Railgun, based on a Chinese anime called A Certain Scientific Railgun, which the logo still ended up being based on. Besides that, they were lucky to lock down the greatest Chinese player of all time, off-rip in Guxue, who no one else is really even close to this day. U4 also joined the team as an assistant coach, and he's notable for being so close to known abortion advocate Undead that people called him his dad. He got fined for some unknown reason, paying people to boost his Overwatch account so that he looked good at the game. This was a coach. Apparently the Spark just had horrible taste in coaches, as they also brought on RUI, who also coached for almost every other Chinese team, but I couldn't find that much with the Spark, so here's his section. Apparently, RUI was such a control freak and applied so much pressure to his players that after almost making the best Chinese flex support ever, Monk, retire from screaming at him so much, he replied by saying, "Good, we'll replace you." RUI also believed that he was an infallible deity of Overwatch. When the best player on his team made a suggestion about a change of composition, RUI knew that he couldn't be right, and instead blamed guxue for not executing his perfect idea correctly, which is of course why it was failing. With the Spark, he also exclusively made them play dive, which is what they were good at, but he believed they were so much better at dive than everyone else that RUI didn't even let them review VODs against inferior teams. Despite thinking of himself as the best coach in Overwatch, at a certain point, he stopped watching Overwatch. During a match against the Boston Uprising, he didn't even know who their off-tank player was. He looked at Kalios and said, "Who?" This was because he spent all day watching Valorant, even missing the Spark's most iconic match, the reverse sweep of Boston in playoffs, because he was watching a Valorant game that was happening at the same time. He was the last to show up to work and the first to leave, blamed losing 40 games in a row exclusively on the players of the Shanghai Dragons, who he also coached for, and screamed at his players who were making minimum wage, and even refused ridiculous offers to stay with the Spark because they were all so bought in. Everyone was bought in except for the man steering the ship. Shy turned down what was confirmed to be a really large offer from the Mayhem before the final season just to stay with Hangzhou and make pennies. He still got screamed at by RUI while being at times their best player. He was also a beautiful, effeminate boy. Through all this adversity, the Spark still shined. They only finished lower than 4th place once and got 3rd place in 2023 despite having an honestly pretty bad season. Whenever times got tough, they rallied together even stronger. And to this day, all these players still compete together under Weibo Gaming. The Hangzhou Spark are one of the most successful franchises in Overwatch history, and had cool skins too. They had all the best Chinese players, so that helped. But it would have probably been better if their coaches weren't just actively destroying their teams. We know a lot less about Chinese players because we have to rely so much on translations, but I hope there's still enough funny info in this video to make it entertaining. Also, I'm going to try streaming on Twitch this summer, playing some Overwatch and Marvel Rivals for a video I'm hoping to publish in September, so check out my Twitch linked at the top of the description. Also, if you're curious, I'm going to be posting some stuff about my Chinese life on my second channel, Godhand, which is linked on my channel page. Subscribe.